Hello everybody, this is EpicGamingGuru, and this time I'm going to dive straight into Splitgate 2. Now I have a lot of experience with the previous Splitgate game, and I'm not gonna lie, Splitgate 2 is honestly really fun. However, despite it being fun, I do understand there's a few negative things about Splitgate 2, which I'm going to break down in this video. And for the sake of time, let me go ahead and just skip through the tutorial because there's a little bit of some differences between here and Splitgate 1, but not as much as it would seem. But I'll go ahead and break that all down for all of you. I really want to point out that this is not a Splitgate 2 beta review or Splitgate 2 review in general. This is more of a first impressions video of me discussing every little thing that I've actually came across all over Splitgate 2. And I'm not going to deny this. It feels a little different compared to the first game because of the amount of different classes, weapon customizations, as well as even new weapons added onto the field. And unfortunately, I didn't see anything of a power-up of overshields or anything of that such, and I guess I could kind of understand why that's not in the game, although it would have been kind of cool to see a pretty nice gimmick like that. Maybe it'll be added in future game modes. Anyways, yes, Splitgate 2 does have three different classes. One involving defense, one involving speed, and one involving being able to pretty much see through walls. In this case, basically a reconnaissance type of class, if you will. Another thing I didn't really talk about is the game's new aesthetic. Instead of it being more or less a little bit muddy over the edges on some characters and player cards like they did in the first Split game and had some really crazy skins. I'm not gonna lie, Splitgate was known for having some of the most wild skins I've ever seen in a video game. But Splitgate 2 unfortunately decided to go less on the cartoony route and they wanted to go more or less on the serious competitors route, which is fine. I can dig that time to time here and there again. But the only issue with that is that I feel like Splitgate 2 might end up being a little bit too competitive, and that could compel players not to want to play the game because they're going to be running into the most sweatiest possible players of all time, which usually happens with competitive type games, and I have yet to see one where it hasn't, so that is something a little bit of a concern. Alright, time to hop into a match and see what the main differences are here in Splitgate 2 compared to Splitgate 1. Aside from the classes, there is a little bit of some distinct difference within the maps and also how the maps kind of change in the correlation of both kill time and as well as positioning of portals, which was essential for Splitgate in general. The first match I even had was pretty calm and chill, and it just had me running around trying to figure out where I could position portals in, and some of these locations can be a little bit too far and splitty, and it can make things a little bit difficult to figure out how you're going to set up your next portal here and there. And that's just it though. Name of the game is Splitgate, so you really need to know how these portals work all the time. If not, you're going to end up being basically killed really quickly because this game has a very small amount of health that you have to deal with when it comes to taking down a player.
Double kill!
I could definitely see why some players are concerned about how fast the kill feed is in this game because you will be killing players in less than 2 to 3 seconds every single time you meet them, or you could get killed yourself within the same time span. Although ironically, I haven't even ran into any form of lag or any form of hardware advantages while playing this game. I didn't see like players going left and right like crazy and I couldn't even be able to see them because their frames would skip of anything of that kind. So to be fair, for a beta, the game is actually looking pretty damn good. It is a lot more chaotic compared to the first Split game. I cannot deny this because the time to kill, like I said, in this game is so fast that if you're not paying attention for more than a couple of seconds, you are basically dead. I do understand that players are a bit also concerned about that because it starts to feel less like Splitgate and more like it's trying to be fast-paced Call of Duty but with portals.
Almost there. You got this. Taking A.
Double kill! D secured. Victorious!
Fantastic win! Well done! Time to celebrate!
I'm not even gonna lie, well, why is the announcer so crazy in this game? Like, did they seriously hire Captain Price to try to be the announcer for this game? Because it almost sounds like him. But either way, the game is actually pretty damn good. I'm rather satisfied with the way Splitgate 2 is moving, but at the same time, I could see where the aesthetic might be a massive turn off for some players because the game is getting a little too serious. But overall, guys, I do believe that Splitgate 2 is honestly a pretty nice game so far, especially from the beta. They only had to tweak in a few things left to right, maybe fix a few textures, but overall, if they could get all these little things down and out of the way with Splitgate 2 after the beta is over, I could definitely see this one going pretty far, and I will review it in the future once it's fully released. But either way, guys, hope you all enjoyed this video. This has been EpicGamingGuru. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed it that much, and I'll see you all next time.